the shattered front line. The stars burned cold above the battlefield. The Galaxy Empire had sent its most powerful fleets to crush the humans, confident this war would end in a single sweep. Their admirals believed Earth's people were too young, too emotional, too scattered to fight an empire that had ruled the stars for 10,000 years. For months, reports of human resistance were treated as jokes in the imperial courts, stories about desperate soldiers and old ships trying to fight back. But now the laughter had stopped. Admiral Varen stood on the command deck of the dreadnought Vigilant Star, the pride of the Empire. He had seen hundreds of battles, and none of them had shaken him like this. In front of him, the holographic display showed the Terran front, dozens of shattered worlds, drifting wreckage and silent hulks that once carried human flags. It looked like victory, but something about the silence felt wrong. The readings from the scanners were unstable, showing strange energy spikes deep within the debris field. "Are the humans finished?" Varen asked coldly. The communication officer hesitated. "It appears so, Admiral, but our sensors are detecting unusual patterns near the wrecks." "Patterns?" Varen's tone sharpened. "Explain." Before the officer could answer, one of the smaller Imperial ships vanished from the screen. No explosion, no warning, just gone. The bridge crew gasped, voices rising in confusion. Varen leaned closer, eyes narrowing. "Replay that," he said. The display flickered, and for a split second, a shadow moved across the frame, a shape so large it blocked the light of the nearby star. "What is that?" Varen demanded. No one answered. Then the lights across the bridge dimmed as all long-range sensors began to fail one by one. "Something is jamming us," the tactical officer whispered. "It's coordinated from the darkness of space." The Terran fleet appeared not as scattered survivors, but as a perfect formation moving with silent purpose. Ships that were supposed to be destroyed were still alive, their armor blackened and burned, but their guns ready. At the center of the formation, a massive vessel drifted forward, its hull dark and smooth, almost absorbing the starlight around it. No name, no signal, only one symbol glowing faintly. "Earth. Impossible," Varen murmured. "Their command ship was destroyed 3 days ago." The sensor officer shook his head. "Then this must be something else, Admiral. Something bigger." A transmission suddenly cut across every Imperial frequency. A calm voice, human and cold. "To the Imperial Command, this is not an act of defiance. This is a response. You fired on our colonies. You burned our cities and you called it justice. Now, you will see what we call restraint." The entire Imperial fleet paused. Varen's hands trembled slightly on the command rail. "Restraint?" he whispered. "They call this restraint?" Before anyone could react, the human flagship's energy levels surged. Every Terran ship in formation followed, their reactors burning with a strange white light the Empire had never seen before. "Target them. All batteries fire," Varen shouted. Thousands of plasma rounds streaked into the void, but none found their mark. The Terran fleet moved like ghosts, their ships weaving through the attack lines with perfect coordination. When they finally returned fire, the result was devastating. Beams of concentrated light cut through Imperial dreadnoughts like glass. Entire wings of fighters vanished before they could even deploy. The Empire's shields, once thought impenetrable, melted away under the Terran weapons in less than 4 minutes. A third of the Imperial fleet was gone. The Vigilant Star itself was struck, its shields flickering as flames erupted across its hull. "Retreat!" Varen shouted, his voice shaking for the first time in his career. But the humans did not pursue, they simply stopped firing, their ships forming a silent wall between the Empire and the void. Then once again the voice returned over comms, calm and unhurried. "You misunderstand, Admiral Varen. This was not our main fleet. These were only our forward response units. Do not mistake patience for weakness, or silence for surrender." The message ended, leaving only static. On the screen, the Terran ships began to fade into the darkness, vanishing into the mist of a nebula like shadows returning home. The Imperial bridge fell silent, broken only by the sound of alarms and the crackle of failing systems. Varen stared at the last image of the human flagship, its emblem of Earth glowing faintly before disappearing. He whispered to himself, if that was not their full force. "What are we fighting against?" No one answered across the Empire's sectors. The signal spread like wildfire. For the first time in thousands of years, the rulers of the galaxy trembled. Because they finally understood. Humanity was not just another species fighting for survival. They were the storm that waited until the galaxy forgot to fear thunder. The hidden fleet of Earth Admiral Varen could not sleep. The memory of that voice haunted him even when the ship's medic sedated his nerves. He had seen entire species vanish under Imperial command. Yet the humans had done in minutes what no enemy had ever dared. They had struck, vanished, and left a message that made every commander in the Empire whisper in fear. Across the Imperial sectors, panic spread quietly. Thousands of officers demanded answers, asking where the humans had gotten such technology. The Empire's scientists claimed it was impossible, that no civilization from a single planet could build weapons that powerful, but somewhere deep down, Varen knew this was only the beginning. Meanwhile, far away on the edge of the Sol system, Earth's true command watched everything in silence. Inside an underground control complex buried beneath the Pacific Ocean, Admiral Reyes stood before a giant holomap of the galaxy. Her voice was calm but cold. The Empire has taken the bait. Their sensors recorded the engagement exactly as planned. Her second-in-command, Commander Isha Malik, nodded. The decoy fleet performed perfectly, only 32% losses, and the Empire believes that was our full strength. Reyes looked at the hologram again, where faint blue lines connected hidden sectors across the galaxy. Each line represented something the Empire had never discovered: hidden Terran fleets. Since the early days of the Galactic War, humanity had built secret shipyards not on planets, but inside brown dwarfs, asteroid belts, and even artificial moons. The Empire had scanned for heat signatures for radio transmissions, but the humans had learned to build in silence. For 2 centuries they watched us, Reyes said softly. Catalogued our worlds, measured our strength, judged us weak. They forgot that humans don't show their cards until the table is quiet. Deep in the black void beyond Neptune, the first of the hidden fleets came online. Massive carriers powered by quantum cores awakened from stasis. Their hulls shimmered with adaptive plating, invisible to most sensors, and in the shadows of Titan's orbit, the legendary warship Aegis Prime rose from its cradle. For years it had waited, silent, unseen, its weapons offline to avoid detection. As the ship came alive, a soft vibration ran through the control room. The voice of the ship's AI echoed through the comms. Systems green, weapons stable. Fleet synchronization complete. Admiral Reyes nodded. Activate global silence. The Empire must believe we are retreating. Within seconds, all human transmissions across known space ceased. To the rest of the galaxy, humanity looked broken, quiet, defeated. But beneath that silence, millions of engineers and pilots worked tirelessly. Factories hidden inside dying stars produced rail cannons large enough to punch through planets. Mining colonies on forgotten moons extracted exotic metals the Empire had no name for, and deep under Earth's oceans, cloning bays grew new neural pilots, humans born to connect with the ships through direct consciousness links. Every heartbeat, every breath synchronized with their vessels. On the Aegis Prime, Commander Malik watched as thousands of Terran ships formed in perfect lines. He whispered, "They think we are afraid," Reyes replied quietly. "Let them think that, it makes the fall easier." Back in Imperial space, Varen faced interrogation from the High Council. The Empress herself demanded answers, her eyes burning with fury. How could a primitive race destroy half our armada with a handful of ships? She roared. Varen bowed deeply, but his voice shook. "Your Majesty, those were not their full forces, they said it themselves. They warned us." The council erupted in laughter, but it was nervous laughter deep inside. None of them truly believed humanity had shown its real power yet. Still, the Empire prepared a counterattack. They built massive fleets, summoned reinforcements from colonies light years away. They planned to invade Earth directly, to end humanity once and for all. But while the Empire gathered its might, humanity was already 3 moves ahead. The hidden fleets waited in perfect silence, surrounding Imperial space like a tightening noose. Admiral Reyes stood before the star map again. She reached out and highlighted the Imperial capital. "When they come," she said quietly, "they'll bring everything they have. That's when we show them what everything means to us." Outside the command dome, the Aegis Prime drifted through the black like a phantom. Its hull shimmered once, then vanished as it engaged its light-bending cloak. For the first time in galactic history, the hunters of the stars had become the hunted, and the galaxy did not yet know that humanity's silence was the loudest warning it would ever hear. The Empire strikes back. The Galactic Empire refused to believe it. To them, the idea that humanity had hidden fleets, hidden worlds, hidden strength, it was madness. Pride was the heart of their empire, and pride does not bend until it breaks. From the core worlds, thousands of Imperial ships gathered. The skies of their capital burned with engine fire as the Grand Armada of Unity assembled for war. Every species under the Empire's banner contributed soldiers and weapons. The Empress declared this campaign the cleansing of Earth, promising that no trace of the human race would remain when it was done. Admiral Varen stood among the War Council, his uniform torn and burned from the last battle. He tried to warn them. "Your Majesty, we underestimated them. They are not the humans from our archives, they've changed." But the Empress silenced him with a glare sharp enough to cut steel. "No, Admiral, you lost to ghosts and shadows. Now the true army will fight, and this time we end it." Varen bowed, but his heart felt heavy. He had seen the Terran eyes, the silence before their guns fired. He knew this was not just another war, it was judgment. When the Imperial fleet entered the Sol system, they found nothing. No defenses, no transmissions, not even satellites. Earth looked empty, dark, like a grave floating in the void. "Perhaps they fled," one commander laughed. But Varen said nothing. Something about the stillness made the back of his neck tighten. Then came the first signal, a single ping across all frequencies, short and rhythmic. It was an old Terran distress code, one the Empire's translators barely recognized. Before anyone could react, a voice echoed across the comms. "Welcome to Sol, travelers, you shouldn't have come." The black of space changed. From behind the shadow of Jupiter, dozens of massive ships emerged, their hulls hidden until that moment. They were unlike any Imperial vessel. Smooth, organic, designed with purpose rather than pride. Their engines glowed in silent harmony, and their weapons were already charged. Each one bore the same emblem, the Earth crest surrounded by 7 stars. It was humanity's true defense fleet. "The ones that never left their home system, fire at will," shouted the Imperial Admiral beside Varen. Tens of thousands of plasma bolts lit up space, but the human ships didn't flinch. Their shields bent like liquid and absorbed the fire, turning it into light. Then, without warning, they returned fire. Space itself screamed. The Terran weapons were not plasma, not missiles, not lasers. They were beams of pure kinetic energy, mass accelerated beyond light speed. Each shot tore through multiple ships before dissipating. Whole squadrons vanished in seconds. The Empire's battle formation broke, their ships scattering like frightened birds. From the bridge of the Aegis Prime, Admiral Reyes watched silently, her eyes cold, her tone calm. "They came to end us, but they came blind." Commander Malik smiled faintly. "Do we strike the capital next?" Reyes shook her head. "No, let them understand first. Let them see what happens when you corner humanity." As the Imperial fleet tried to retreat, they found their hyperspace drives unresponsive. Terran jammers had sealed the system, trapping them. Then, from the far side of Neptune, a signal ignited. The second hidden fleet appeared, black dreadnoughts equipped with gravity weapons. They dragged the Imperial ships into kill zones one by one, crushing entire carriers with invisible force. The Empire had built its navy for intimidation, not survival. And in front of them stood an enemy that had mastered the art of invisible war. On the flagship Vigilant Star, Varen stood trembling as the bridge shook violently. "Evacuate the crew," he ordered, his voice cracking. "Admiral, we can still fight," cried the lieutenant. Varen turned slowly, eyes hollow. "You can't fight what you don't understand." He watched as a human battleship drifted past his window, its hull gleaming with reflected starlight. On its side were words written in Terran English. "Forward Unit 03, not full force." The words hit him harder than any weapon. It wasn't arrogance, it was truth. The Empire wasn't facing humanity's full army. This was still a fraction, a response, a warning. Hours later, silence filled the system. Half the Imperial fleet was gone, the rest crippled and retreating from the Terran flagship. Admiral Reyes sent one final transmission. "Leave and do not return if you ever come again. You will meet the rest of us." The transmission ended. Earth remained quiet once more, the stars returning to their cold peace. But in that silence, the galaxy began to change. Whispers spread through the empires, through the trading lanes, through the hidden corners of every world. They spoke of humans, Deathworlders who fought not with hate, but with precision, patience, and purpose. And for the first time, The Galaxy Empire realized that it was not humanity's armies they should fear. It was their silence, echoes of fear. The war was over. But peace never came. The Empire limped back from Sol, its fleets broken, its pride shattered. Billions of citizens watched the return of the once glorious armada and saw only silence. No victory songs, no banners, no speeches. Only the quiet sound of failure echoing through the halls of power. Admiral Varen sat alone in the Emperor's grand chamber. The throne room felt colder now, stripped of arrogance and filled with tension. The Empress had not spoken since the retreat. Her golden armor dulled by grief and disbelief. At last she turned to him, her voice trembling like metal under pressure. "You said that wasn't their full force," Varen nodded slowly. "It wasn't, Majesty. They warned us, and I believed them." Across the galaxy, the story of Earth spread like wildfire. Traitors, mercenaries, and spies whispered about the humans. The Deathworlders who survived on a planet most empires considered uninhabitable. They spoke of oceans filled with storms, volcanoes that shaped continents, beasts that fought even after dying. They said the humans were born from chaos, shaped by pain, and trained by survival itself. And now that same species had turned its survival instinct into strategy, into silence, into war. On the diplomatic world of Veltra, the Council of Neutral Races gathered. Representatives from 27 civilizations debated endlessly. Some wanted to ally with Earth. Others demanded to isolate them forever. Ambassador Shrell of the Dravik Alliance raised his voice. "If they possess that much power and restraint, we should talk before we fight. Maybe humanity seeks peace," but the Korthian delegate hissed in fear. "Peace? They annihilated half the Empire in one day. They hide fleets that even our sensors can't detect." "No, Ambassador. Humans don't want peace, they want silence before the storm." Yet not everyone believed the fear. In the hidden sectors beyond the core, small scout groups and mercenary fleets began searching for human outposts. They wanted to know the truth, to see if the stories were real or just myth. One such ship, the Varkon Spear, entered the Perseus sector, following strange energy signals that didn't match any known technology. At first they found nothing, just rocks, dead moons, and empty space. Then a single transmission came through. Faint and rhythmic, it was a human heartbeat. The captain leaned closer, whispering, "Is this a distress call?" Before anyone could respond, their sensors detected movement. Hundreds of faint contacts forming a circle around them. Then came a calm voice over the channel. "Unauthorized entry detected. Identify yourself." The crew froze. They had stumbled upon one of the hidden Terran fleets. The humans didn't attack immediately. Instead, a single drone ship approached. Sleek and black with no visible weapons, its hull reflected the stars like liquid metal. "You came seeking truth," the voice said. "Then understand this truth. Humanity hides not because it fears, but because the galaxy never learned to listen." The transmission ended. Moments later, every system on the Varkon Spear went offline. When power returned, they found themselves thousands of kilometers away. Facing open space, no trace of the Terran ships remained. News of this incident reached the galactic councils within days, and with it came a new kind of fear. Fear of an enemy that didn't kill without purpose. Fear of a civilization that could erase you without even firing a shot. Back on Earth, Admiral Reyes watched from the command dome as transmissions from every corner of the galaxy poured in. "They're scared," Commander Malik said softly. "They're building new fleets, forming new alliances." Reyes nodded, her eyes fixed on the blue planet below. "Fear makes people foolish. Let them talk, let them prepare. They'll still never understand." She turned to the great display, where glowing lines marked every hidden Terran stronghold. "They think strength is numbers, but our strength was never our ships. It was unity, patience, and memory." In the void beyond Mars, the Aegis Prime drifted silently, its hull still scarred from the First War, its AI waiting for a command that had not yet been given. From deep within the ship, a soft pulse traveled through the network, a signal that reached every hidden fleet, every secret base, every silent outpost. It was the same message that had guided humanity for centuries. Wait, observe. Strike only when the galaxy forgets to be afraid. Across the stars, the empires trembled. The humans had vanished again, as if the entire species had dissolved into myth. But in every shadow, in every signal, in every whisper of static across comms, there was the same haunting reminder: they are still here. The final revelation, the galaxy had fallen into uneasy silence. Weeks turned into months, yet no one dared to approach Earth again. Every empire strengthened its borders. Every world listened to whispers of the humans who fought and vanished. But deep within the void between stars, something vast was awakening. Admiral Varen sat in his personal quarters aboard the crippled Vigilant Star. He stared at the stars beyond the viewport, wondering how a single planet could humble 1,000 worlds. He had served the Empire for most of his life, believing its might was eternal. Now he knew how small that belief truly was. A soft chime interrupted his thoughts. A transmission, encrypted, ancient, and not of imperial origin. Curiosity overcame fear, and he opened it. The screen lit with static, then cleared. A human face appeared, calm, stern, unblinking. "Admiral Varen," the voice said, "you have seen what others refuse to understand. You survived because you listened, because you doubted. Now you must witness the truth." Before he could speak, the hologram expanded into a star map. Thousands of dots appeared, each one pulsing faintly blue. He frowned. "What are these?" "These," the voice replied, "are the Terran defense nodes. Every dot marks a hidden human fleet or station. You saw 1% of our strength." The map zoomed outward, showing the spiral arms of the Milky Way. The blue dots multiplied until they filled the entire screen like a living ocean. Varen's breath caught in his throat. "Impossible," he whispered. "No," the human said quietly. "Inevitable." At that same moment, across every known system, the stars themselves flickered, sensors went haywire, communication networks glitched, and entire sectors plunged into confusion. Then came the signal. One steady pulse carried on every frequency. One word repeated in every galactic language. "Observe." From dark space beyond mapped borders, gigantic structures began to appear. Not ships, but citadels, each the size of a moon. Their surfaces shimmered with energy drawn from nearby stars. Inside each one, millions of human soldiers stood ready, not with anger, but with discipline, for humanity had not built weapons of conquest. They had built guardians on the surface of Earth. In the Pacific Command Vault, Admiral Reyes watched the same star map glowing before her. Commander Malik stood beside her, eyes wide. "They'll see everything now," he said softly. Reyes nodded. "It's time they understood why we stayed silent." A new transmission went out, open, unencrypted, to every empire, every ship, every outpost. A woman's voice filled the stars, calm and resolute. "This is Admiral Reyes of Earth. For centuries, humanity has watched as empires rose and fell, as greed and arrogance consumed the stars. We asked for peace, and you called it weakness. We built quietly, and you called it fear. Now you see the result of patience. We do not seek to rule. We seek to remind, power is not dominance, it is restraint. We will not attack unless attacked, but if any empire strikes again, the galaxy will remember what full force truly means." The message ended. Across the galaxy, worlds fell into silence. Armadas halted mid-flight, council chambers emptied. Even the Empress of the Galaxy Empire lowered her crown in silence. Knowing that the age of fear had ended, Admiral Varen sat frozen before his screen. He whispered to himself, "They never wanted our empire. They wanted our attention." Outside his window, a human drone ship drifted past, leaving behind a single glowing beacon. On it, one phrase was written in Terran English. "We were never hiding. We were waiting." Far above the Milky Way, unseen by any empire, the Aegis Prime stood at the heart of a vast Terran formation. Its hull reflected the light of 1,000,000,000 suns, its cannons silent, its banners folded. Admiral Reyes looked out into the infinite dark. "They'll remember this day," she whispered. "Not as the day humanity conquered, but as the day humanity taught." The galaxy would speak of that moment for millennia. How a small world at the edge of nothing showed the mighty the meaning of restraint. How silence became the greatest weapon, and how, when humanity finally revealed its full strength, it did not bring destruction, it brought understanding.